Hi YouTubers, now I decided to make a small machete, or small is good to say. Should be about 70 to 80 centimeters in the end. And now I'm gonna just draw the shape of the knife like I want it. And yeah, it's gonna get a little bit of a chopper, but not really, more like a langes Messer. And could be pretty nice for fighting also if I would make a guard and a nail, a nagel onto it. But it could be as a design of a langes Messer, also that the handle scales got riveted on or glued on, so that's also something of a knife design, could say. And yeah, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut out the whole piece. And what I can make here is maybe get a little bit like a hook for protection to not slide down on the blade. Pretty awesome too, but the grip gets flared in the front also. The next thing, I'm gonna cut out the shape as I said, and cut away all the teeth, break them away as before, and we're gonna make a nice pretty machete. Yo, now that the rough shape is cut out, I'm gonna start by grind the bevel. I'm gonna grind the bevel about 5 to 6 millimeters back, or 8 millimeters maybe, and making a slightly curved surface, so the blade goes straight down and then slightly curved to a zero, so to a cutting edge. And yeah, grind it out. You can grind it out with your angle grinder and a simple flap disc to shape the piece as you want it, or as I did, you can make it on the belt sander. That depends on what kind of machines do you have. Steel is not very well fileable, so don't try to use a file because it will not work very well. It's pretty hard, tough stuff. If you have good files, very good files, it could work, or it should work after all, but simply I would take a machine, because simple angle grinder is pretty cheap and some flap discs, and the cutting disc you already need to cut it out, because with some plasma cutter or a torch cutter it would not be very well, because it will ruin the heat treat. And to cut it out by hand it's almost impossible, because as I said, the steel is pretty hard, pretty tough already. So now, as I said, what I'm going to do now is grind the bevels, then polish the surface a little bit, clean away all the dirt, stuff and things. Okay, now that the bevel is ground, on both sides pretty even, I'm going to have marked the holes, 4 pieces, and take a 4 millimeter tungsten carbide drill bit to drill the holes through. Then we're going to search for a nice wooden piece, and then we're almost finished. Okay, now I found some very nice, I don't know exactly which kind of wood it is, but it's a pretty nice hard wood, and it looks pretty awesome, and for this knife it should be very well suited. Now I'm gonna clamp the handle as it should be in the end, about this way. I'm gonna clamp it onto the blade, or onto the tank, and then I'm gonna drill the first hole, set the pin inside, drill the next hole, set the pin inside, drill the next hole, set the pin inside, and then the last hole, and look if the pin fits. And if all the pins set already, I'm going to take away the handle, take the other one, put it onto the knife, and the same. Always clamp it, first hole, set the pin, second hole, set the pin, third, fourth hole, set the pin. And then all pins should be perfectly, and then you can glue the whole thing together. Okay, now all the holes are drilled, all the pins inside, blade is missing. That's because now we're gonna finish the front side of the handle, because now is the last chance to get onto the surface without scratching the blade or without damaging the finish of the blade. And now I'm gonna sand this with a 400 grit, and that's it. 400 grit is very nice for wood, then you have a very nice grip on it, because it's not mirror polished, so you don't slip when it's wet, but it's also just it's just grippy. Okay, now I'm gonna dismount the handle, Just pull out all the pins. And it's finished to 400 grit, as you see. Clean off the dust a little bit. And now I'm gonna clean the blade and the handle with acetone. Okay. Clamp it in the vise. So it's easier to work with. Clamps, very important. Have all your clamps already. Okay, now, as I said, everything prepared. Just start mixing, smearing the whole handle with epoxy glue. In the front, I'm always looking for having not too much, because there I want to have pressed out as less as possible to clean away in the end. The other sides don't really matter to me how much it gets pressed out. It should just not drip. If it drips, that's not as good, because then you have everywhere resin glue drips. But if the cure, you can pretty good get them away, get rid of them. Okay, now a little bit more here, and set the rivets. Just gonna do a little bit of epoxy on the rivets, not quite a lot, because it's not really necessary. It's just getting pushed to the side. You have good reamed holes. You just need a very tiny amount of epoxy on your rivets. And now, a nice Damascus knife mounting hammer. I love this piece. Made it myself. Okay, now I'm gonna put the whole thing onto the knife and smear the other handle piece. I'll coat it with glue, so to say. Yep. Always make sure that the whole surface is covered, that you don't have any spot which was not covered in resin, because could be that it doesn't get squeezed there. So the more surface covered with resin, the better it can adhere to the whole thing and better holding up. Yep. Now put this thing onto the rivets. Okay. Get in. Okay, now hammer the rivets through. Yep, now clamp the whole thing together. Do not take too much pressure, because you don't need extreme amount of pressure. When you squeeze out all the resin, then it will not adhere as well as when you have a little bit of resin left inside there. It's pretty important, so think about that a little bit. Do not over pressure your piece, just so it adheres completely together. Okay, now with the piece together, we're gonna let the epoxy dry for about an hour, and then we can finish the whole thing. Okay, now after about half an hour, I'm gonna unclamp the whole piece and set it aside to dry again for another half an hour, and then the glue is hard enough. It's already hard now, it's not sticky anymore, it's pretty hard, but it's a little bit, you can press your fingernails in, so it's not fully hardened. And then we're gonna let it set for half an hour again, and then it should be pretty nice to work again with it. Well, now the piece is pretty much finished, and reground the handle only with a 320 grit, should be enough. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to oil coat the whole thing so that the wood resists even more to moisture and water, and to get out the grain of the wood very nice, and the color, the dark color, looks way more amazing when it's oiled than otherwise. Don't forget any surface, also the front surfaces here. I think it looks pretty awesome. Very nice grain of this wood, and as I said, I don't know exactly what it is. It could be a red oak. That's pretty possible that it is a red oak. Okay, now that's the piece. You want to see it cut? You want to see it cut? Okay. Well, just to say it's pretty damn sharp. So just let it fall into the piece and it almost cuts through. It's also because of the length of the blade. The longer you blade, the faster it is in the end. And speed is what cuts. Yep, okay. Now, blade held up nice. What else do you want? Just paper. So now, for more machetes, just buy some blades, some bandsaw blades, and try to make it your own. It's very funny, and they're very useful, and they're not very expensive. You can make them always yourself. You can sharpen them yourself, and it's a pretty nice working tool. No matter, depends on the form you like, you want. If you want it more weight in the front, then make it heavier on the head, make it wider on the head. It always depends on what you want to do with it. If you want to chop wood with it, then I would make it head heavy. If you want to, don't know, wheel around with it just and smash some bushes, I would make it thin, but very thin here also, make it sharper. And the handle, always make it so you're pretty secure in the hand. You can hold it very nice, very well, and don't lose the grip on it. Now here you can hold it on the back side completely like this with a flare in the end, or you can hold it with a finger groove. So that's pretty awesome. And these bandsaw blades, as I said, they're very sturdy, just for chopping, hacking, slashing, which you don't need a custom knife for $1,000. They're just a piece for about 50 to 80 bucks or 100 bucks would be more than enough. And if you make it yourself, it costs you about 5 to 10 bucks. Yes, 5 bucks. Wood is always for free, mostly. Only if you use some special wood, some hardwood, ebony, or whatever you want. But simple oak, acacia, whatever you can use for a handle is always very, very cheap to get, or even free. And the rivets you can use simple steel pins, they're also just for free. So this piece is very, very cheap, but as I said, works very fine. Holds its edge pretty good, not the best. I mean, it's not a custom knife, as I said, it only has 60 HRC, but it holds an edge pretty good, and for chopping wood, it's very durable. Yeah, okay, now I hope you like my video. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos, and thanks for watching.